You hear me? Hi. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Antonio Lattanzio, and today I'm here to talk about multiplayer, especially focused on crossplay and the Unreal Engine. So, I've been in the game industry for quite a long time, possibly about 30 years, and I worked around for a lot of different studios and shipped over 20 titles. And as a lead engineer of Blind Squirrel, I had the opportunity to work on a lot of different projects and multiplayer projects. So today we will have a talk about some technical challenges we had and the tools we used to make crossplay a reality. This is very exciting because crossplay is a big thing in those days, but often very difficult in the game development. So to give you some context, I worked in a range of studios, Blind Squirrel, then I worked for Gameloft in Auckland, Avalanche Studios in Stockholm, and Chrome Studios in Brisbane. Those are some studios, and over those years, I said I shipped 20 titles, but a lot of titles were not shipped, much more than 20. So one of the areas that I'm more interested has been a multiplayer, especially the cross-platform multiplayer. So why are we talking about crossplay? Because today is much more interesting and relevant in this, especially in the new games that we are seeing showing up on the store. And regardless the platform they are on. So more for developers, this feature is more complex to implement, as we'll see in this presentation. So talk about Blind Squirrel. Blind Squirrel is the studio that I work for and was founded in 2010. We shipped to 58 titles, and our locations are Austin in Texas, Irvine, California, and Auckland in New Zealand. So we are focusing on developing AAA games, but also for working on full developing original and licensed games. So you might know some games like Mass Effect Legendary Edition and Bioshock 2 Collection, and the recent New World porting with Amazon Studios and State of Decay 3 was recently announced. The agenda for this talk will be what is crossplay. I will explain what is crossplay and why it's becoming more important is a feature that we need in multiplayer games. Epic Online Services. We'll dive into Epic Online Service EOS, which is a key tool for implementing crossplay, particularly with Unreal Engine. The backend of EOS, I'll show you how to use the developer portal and to manage the crossplay features, the online subsystem in Unreal. We'll discuss how Unreal Online subsystem integrates the crossplay and simplifies the development. The authentication, this is very crucial for allowing players to log in across different platforms and PC gamers and crossplay. Because we know, we'll see what PC gamers think about crossplay and especially about the privacy concerns. So this talk is designed to give you a practical insight how you can implement crossplay in your project using EOS. So before we get into details, I'd like to show you a quick trailer of our game, Cosmorons, which you can also try here in the GDC, which is a space shooter we developed fully in Auckland and integrates the crossplay features. Okay. Just a second. There is no audio. Sorry. that okay? So basically, this is the trailer of the game we've been working on, and we decided from the beginning to implement the crossplay features. Why this happened? So we tried a lot of different approaches because, as you might know, in Unreal there is a replication system where you can just replicate properties across the network between a host and clients. And yeah, we had a bit of problems, especially because we've been trying to play with the other studios in the US, and we noticed there were like 300, even 300 milliseconds of latency. So we started to think about different solutions. We tried to implement other features like rollback, where basically you can go back some frames and re-simulate the entire gameplay up to the current frame. But as you can see, this kind of gameplay is quite impossible to implement some feature like that. Also, you have to consider rollback has to be deterministic, and we all know that chaos physics doesn't have deterministic support yet. And then we tried interpolation and extrapolation, which was a system that kind of worked. We noticed that just getting the information for a player, like a position, location, transformation, and interpolating to new position was kind of working. So we decided to go down that road. And then we ended up working on the crossplay. What is crossplay? We had the ability, we wanted to be able to play with all the consoles, all the platforms together. And so in an ideal world, this should be seamless. Players shouldn't even notice they are playing on a different platform. So, it's kind of a dream. However, as developers, we know that each platform has his own unique requirements and performance differences. So this can make it very difficult. For example, on a PC we can have a very high frame rate, and might give them a huge advantage on compared to other platforms or consoles, let's say Nintendo Switch. And so we ended up also have to notice that players on a computer, they can use keyboard and mouse, so the aiming could be much more accurate compared to one on the controller. For example, for this to avoid this kind of problem, we implemented our auto aim system with on the game controllers, which works on a mouse too, but is much more accurate on controller. So the challenges. Well, the crossplay has is not just a technical challenge, it's also a compliance issue, because each platform, whether it's Sony, Xbox, or Nintendo, has its own set of rules and legal requirements, and this must be followed to enable crossplay. Otherwise, we will have problems, or they will reject the product. And this includes everything from how data is stored and how player the progression is handled. Yeah. For example, Sony initially was very hesitant to allow crossplay on multiple platforms, while Xbox was very open to it. And also have to consider legal aspects. For instance, there are we have to ensure that players' privacy is protected, that comply with each platform's policy on data handling. And then we can talk about bridging the gaps. To make basically to make crossplay work, we needed to build an architecture that bridges the gaps between those different platforms. This involves synchronized data, player stats, progression, and even saves all across the platforms. The real challenge here is to ensure that everything works consistently, no matter what device the player is using. For example, in Cosmorons, we had to handle player progression and stats across consoles and PC players, to make sure that the experience was fair for everyone. And often this involved writing custom code, which could be even specific for each platform, and finding ways to sync data seamlessly. So let's talk about Epic Online Service. So moving on, Epic Online Service is one of the tools that has made crossplay more achievable for developers. EOS was released in 2020 and provides a platform-agnostic system that supports crossplay for various game engines. So we can, EOS is not just Unreal, and we're not talking just Unreal. We can use EOS on Unity, on Godot, and GameMaker. And also this tool is also available if you want to implement your game, if you implemented your game with SDL2 or C++. And the best part of it is that it's completely free. So EOS simplifies all those parts. We have to keep in mind that the EOS is divided into different services. One is the account service, and the other one is the game service. It is simplifying because the account service is handling all the authentication parts, while the game service doesn't even know where the player, which platform the player is connected, is using. He's handling all the data separately without knowing the real identity of the player. So basically, EOS has been built to simplify all those processes and to help developers to incorporate the crossplay in their own games. So, and then we talking still about EOS. If you use EOS, you don't have to use Unreal Engine. If you use Unreal Engine, you don't have to use EOS. It's completely your choice. That's one of the philosophy of Epic, because if you succeed, they succeed. So EOS gives you the freedom to choose what is best for your project. As I already said that we have all those plugins available, and the benefits of using EOS are that works with any most workflow engines is also platform agnostic. It means that you can ship your game on every platform at the same time. It also simplifies implementation of process, saving you months of development time. Because yeah, instead of as programmers, we know that implementing a feature like this takes a very long time, and doing from scratch is just going to cost so much trouble that is not worth it, basically. It's much better to use some product that is already tested and also completely free. Talking about the backend, we know that there is a backend to handle the EOS features. So the first thing that we can do when we start using EOS is to create our organization. All those features are all available for free on the portal. After doing that, we can just create any product we want, and each product will have three different sandboxes, one for dev, one stage, and one for live. After doing that, we can continue and create the client and the policies. And obviously the deployment, each deployment based on our version of the game. And then moving forward, then we can specify the account services, which can be totally customized. So it's very important to set up all those features on the portal. Otherwise, we might have synchronization, authentication problems. So this is the panel we have in Cosmorans. As you can see, I took a screenshot. I put a smiley face there for a new secret project. And basically, on this panel, you can see that we're just clicking on the product. We can change all the settings very easily, and we can set the client, the policy, everything very simplified compared to other platforms. And as you can see here, we have a list of identity providers, which is quite big. We can put a Steam or Nintendo or Xbox, whatever we need for our product. And also here, this is the part where we can set up the client policy. We can set up a policy for user base or userless. Obviously, as I said before, we have to be careful to set up the correct policy when we initialize the game, that it has to match the one that we set up on the portal. And also have to consider that the achievements can be set up on the portal as well, and that those can be mirrored using EOS Plus. I can talk about that a bit later. About the authentication. So the authentication on EOS is divided in two steps. One is the AUTH, and the other one is Connect. Basically, the AUTH is the base of the authentication, where we have to create the gamer account or just link it if we have to, if the user already has one. Those are the four different pieces of authentication, which is authentication login and the linking account, connect login, and link account. And for the first part, what we need are the credentials, which could be username and password. Those obviously can be provided by the Epic Store if we buy the game on the Epic Store. And otherwise, an external authentication method, which could be Steam or anything else with a PSN or on console, Nintendo or Xbox Live. Linking the account. Well, after we authenticate, we can link the account to the actual Epic's Games account. This step is needed because, as I said before, the backend doesn't need to know where the user is coming from. We just need to be sure that the user is authenticated. And after doing this step, we can progress and finally connect to the backend. After doing that, we will receive a product user ID, a PUID, which is an ID that is unique for each product. So if we connect with a different platform, it's going to be the same on all of them. And then we can finally link with a EOS Connect. Well, we basically we can get an existing identity and link it with others. For instance, if we are already logged in with a Steam and link the account, we can still log in with the same user and link it with a PSN or Xbox or Nintendo on the same account. This is a step needed because Epic Online Service is trying to unify all the users on the same platform and eventually share the same information altogether. Okay, those are all the steps together. As a programmer, you should know that those are the 4 steps needed to be sure that your authentication and linking works. And then we can move on to an example. There is a game that came out recently called The Remnant 2. You probably have heard about that. The cool thing about this game is that it's one of the first to have the account linking available inside the shipped product on PlayStation 5, which means you can see on the top that there is a link account button. And if you played any game before with Epic Online Services, you might have noticed on PC a friend list that comes out. That's now also available on consoles. And I can show you this short video where basically this user is playing on PlayStation. Sorry, the video is not playing. Thank you. Yeah, you can see that this step is the first step that the user has to do to log in and or link the account. If you don't have an Epic account, game account, the EOS will create automatically a new one for you. And you can see that now the list of friends is available inside a PlayStation 5. And that's exactly what we're doing with Cosmorons. And you can invite friends from Steam to play the same game on a PlayStation 5. You can add friends, obviously. All those information about integrating the interfaces on consoles are all available on the Epic website. You just have to prove your that you have a license for as developer for PlayStation or Nintendo or Xbox. So yeah, as you saw before, there is this dialogue that shows up this example shows up the dialogue just once on consoles, and this happens also on PC if you didn't buy the game on the Epic Store. Shows up just once. And as we saw before, there is a Epic overlay friends list with all the Steam friends. And obviously you can invite your friends, and you can create a game and join other other player with a different session on other platforms. Apart from this, we have to also mention the anti-cheat online subsystem. One of the biggest challenges that Crossplay has is to maintain the security, because with introducing PC computers in a Crossplay, in an online game, where players are using consoles, it made it much more easier to cheat. So, for instance, in iOS, there is also a system which specifically in Unreal, but also available for just iOS, which unifies all the network functionality across those platforms, and basically, using this inside of this system, there is a cheat system where we can detect if the user tries to manipulate the memory of the game, or if the game is corrupted. If you notice, there was a game called there is a game coming up from Valve, which is Deadlock, which they had a new feature where the player, instead of being kicked out, can be turned into a frog to make it more funny. So, talking about the online subsystem, we will talk about a bit of Unreal now. So, in the online subsystem is an interface that unifies the entire unifies and abstracts the entire system in Unreal for online, and works for a lot of different platforms. So we have our game code that will communicate with the online subsystem interface, and we can simply switch between different online subsystems interface. So it could be Epic Online Service, could be Steam, could be PSN, whatever we need. And the Epic Online subsystem, we can, for instance, since we are talking about EOS, we can enable the plugin for EOS online subsystem just simply by enable the dit and modifying our build configuration. And then after that, we can modify the INI file and to enable the default service, which in this case is EOS. Obviously, we can use only Steam if we want. Very important to mention that apart from EOS, Epic has also released a plugin called the EOS Plus, which has implementation for other features which are needed for other platforms, for instance, for consoles. And apart from that, there are other third-party plugins, like Redpoint. We ended up using Redpoint, which is a pretty good plugin, because they have really good support for P2P or anti-cheat already implemented, and the developers are very supportive, and they are on Discord or all the social networks, even on consoles. So, for instance, for Redpoint, all we have to do is to modify the INI file and put a Redpoint EOS as a default platform interface. So, and also talking about that, we have, if it goes forward, we have to think that shipping your game on an Epic Online Store, all you need is just the online subsystem EOS. Doesn't matter which, you don't have to worry about all the other platform, because everything will be easily integrated. If you ship on another platform, well, as I said, you will have to use the EOS Plus. As you can see on the screen, you can see that you can enable like all the mirroring features like achievements or presence, and the recent Epic Unreal Fest has been announced, and the Unreal Engine 5.5 will deprecate EOS Plus, and they promised some surprises, some upgrades related to EOS, and yeah, we are waiting for that now. And yeah, as I was saying before, there is all those mirroring features that we can use with Epic Online Services, like the presence and cross-play session and the achievements. Okay. So going forward, we can talk about PC gamers. This is a very important point. One potential is a very potential big challenge, because PC gamers, they really don't like Epic Online Service. You might know that there is even a subreddit talking about Epic, how they love EOS. So, for instance, they see that as a threat for their privacy, and will instantly review bomb any game using Epic Online Service. Well, I kind of understand that, because if you never install the EOS, you will see all those screens showing up, and you think that something bad is happening on your computer. So, and we saw recently this game, Space Marine, which has been released, a huge success, very positive reviews, and has been review bombed by everyone that really hate Epic Online Services. The reason for that is that because it's a small group of people, they cannot really stand of it. That Epic is forcing them to install their software, which is kind of understandable. So we've been looking at other games, and we ended up finding Risk on Rain 2, and we noticed that Risk on Rain has got a really cool feature. Basically, they have crossplay, but they ship the game with crossplay disabled, which means that it's not installing Epic Online Service. I tried to look at the review of Risk on Rain. I could not find any negative review related to Epic Online Service. The only reviews or message that I can see are people asking how to enable it. And as you can see, instead of review bombing this game, they've been asking for advice how to enable crossplay, and obviously the company, they even released some documentation about how to enable it. So we've been thinking about this optional feature. So what we ended up doing is basically we've been looking at this game, how they worked, and we saw that players seemed to be very happy. So we decided to change our code in Unreal Engine, and to allow the user to enable or disable, enable or disable the Epic Online Service, which means crossplay. That means that the game, or if you install the game from Steam, you will not have to install crossplay features, but you will, if you want, you can just play on Steam. And this means that, and also we changed a bit. We created custom nodes to put a blueprint, so the game designer or programmers can easily turn on or off the crossplay features. So yeah, and this is a screenshot from Cosmorons, our game. As you can see, yeah, we made it very clear. We just let user choose if they want to enable or disable crossplay. So basically, what that's pretty much what happened. As a conclusion, about this talk, because I tried to go as slow as possible, but in the end I talked too fast. The cloud gaming, we are thinking about the metaverse, cloud gaming and VR and AR crossplay. Maybe there will be integration in future technology, we don't know. But the biggest thing is that a crossplay is becoming very, very important in those games they are coming up recently. So we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe we will have a new feature with Unreal 5.5 that will make it even super easy. So yeah, you can see that the crossplay is about inclusion, basically. Is breaking down those barriers between platforms, is a powerful tool that helps growing player communities and makes gaming more inclusive. The future of crossplay is going to be very special, very different, because with technologies like cloud gaming and VR, it's going to be even more exciting. We may even see cross-dimension gaming, who knows? So, well, yeah, QA is open. If you have any questions related to crossplay or networking, I will be happy to answer. Or if you have horror stories about your experience with a crossplay, no problems. We are all programmers, so I guess more of us. So yeah, feel free to ask me any questions.
Hello.
Hi.
If you're using EOS and you're not using Unreal, is there a cost associated with it?
No, it's all for free. There is no cost. It's always free, and they promise that it will be always free.
Hi.
Hi.
So, because you have the different sorts of like input systems frame rates going from PC to Xbox to PlayStation,
Yeah.
I have seen that there's like discrimination between users of, oh, I don't want to play with the Xbox player, they can't aim. And even as you add things like, you know, auto aim, that can still exist. Do you have any like thoughts on how you can mitigate that or how you can work with that within your community?
Well, what we've been doing is to give more advantage to the players with a controller by enable auto aim. Yeah. But yeah, I understand what do you mean. Another thing is that we have been trying to optimize the game and bring it to the same standards of PC. So it's not really easy to convince the players that to not discriminate, because on internet is just a jungle. We are trying to make it more fair, but we don't know. Maybe we will see new features coming up soon. Yeah. So.
Hey, regarding the review bombing stuff,
Yeah.
do you think, I don't know the scale of it, is it so bad that you think it would actually affect sales for a game, or is it just that you want to minimize any negative reviews that you possibly can?
Well, by looking at statistics, looks like the games that receive review bombing, are usually very successful. So I will not be worried much about that. However, we decided to give the opportunity to the players to decide if they want to enable crossplay or not. So I think it's much more a fair approach than force everyone to install it.
I was just wondering if there's anything in the EOS, like terms and services or whatever, that give any sort of merit to players being concerned about privacy issues, or if it's just the internet getting worked up over internet things.
Well, that's a good question. As far as we know, we haven't seen anything malicious from Epic. What are they trying to do? We believe that is just to give an opportunity to developers to make their own games. So I think if you create an account on Epic Online Service and you decide to delete it, all your data will be deleted. So hopefully they are playing fair. So also because you have to consider that they cutting down all those, they giving much more percentage of revenue to the developers, and also that this service is all free. So to answer your question, no, I don't think they're doing that. So yeah, I hope they don't.
Hi, you mentioned at the beginning that you wanted to play with US team and you had 300 millisecond ping. Does the crossplay improve ping to other countries?
Well, when I talked about the improvement for the networking, was kind of an introduction because we were considering to create a game multi-platform. With a crossplay, it doesn't really matter if your game is slow or not. You will have the same problem because those problems are more networking related. So even without crossplay on PC, you will have the same problems like latency or popping or teleporting. So that's why we ended up using an interpolation extrapolation system to make the player feel like they are like in the same room, even if the data are not matching 100%. Cool. If you have any other question, yeah, I will. What I want to add is that I will really suggest you guys to have a look at EOS because working on a netcode is very hard, and re-implementing it every time for each platform is it's even much more harder. So why you want to do that? Just do it once and let a library or a service like EOS handling all the other problems for free. So
you mentioned you were using June's plugin. That's kind of I guess the wrapper at the moment around EOS. Did you guys continue to build upon that internally, or were you giving feedback to the plugin developer to continue developing that along your usage of it?
We've been working together, in sync with other developers, like the guys from Redpoint. And yeah, we've been making some changes to optimize the performance, like the interpolation. But in the end, the plugin, they are pretty much the same. So anyone that can access those plugins will have the same knowledge and advantage of anyone else.
You mentioned earlier that you chose not to use rollback netcode. Does EOS still support the ability to use rollback netcode, or is it only interpolation?
EOS doesn't really care about what kind of netcode you end up using. You can use replication or interpolation or rollback. The main thing about rollback is that you need to synchronize your engine to run a 60 frames per second, for instance, and to have all the code run in a deterministic way. And since Unreal doesn't have deterministic physics simulation, and we are using physics, we decided to give up on that possibility.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. 5 minutes left, if you have time, if you have questions. But I again, give it a go. You will not be disappointed if you use Unreal. If you don't use Unreal, you can do that too.
Hello.
Hi.
You said with the crossplay,
Yeah.
You could optionally have it off, which would mean for the subsystem using the normal subsystem, but for any friends or interactions with that, would you fall back to the Steam subsystem instead of using the
Yes.
EOS?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what we do. We fall back to Steam subsystem if there is no crossplay available, or if anything.
Do you so you have to double account for that, or do you have a separate interface just so you can abstract that away?
We have a different online subsystem for Steam, which is also available for free. So just have to switch to a different one. Yeah. Also, if you have the opportunity, you should have a look at the game on Cosmorons. Looks is very fast. The reason for that is because we optimized the game to run on Nintendo Switch, and then we realized that was too fast. So we ended up we managed to put 120 frames on the Xbox with no problems, and yeah. Have to optimize your game too. Yeah. If you want to ask me a question after this talk, no problems. Just reach me up. I will be in the Cosmorons booth playing or talking. Okay. Thank you.